Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Team Luke 1665 Gaming here, back with another video. Today's video is NFL Week 9 game picks. Um, but first, I'm gonna say, how about them LA Dodgers, baby? We won the World Series last night, and the MLB season has come to a close. The Dodgers are your World Series champions. And now we're gonna dive into my pick'em picks. For this week, I got Houston, Atlanta, Buffalo, Cincinnati, the Chargers, Patriots, Commanders, Carolina, Baltimore, Philly, Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles Rams, Minnesota, and Kansas City. Got it. All right. So some of them I mostly have on a script what I'm going to think my prediction is. Some of them I think like the rest like 6 games I don't because I didn't want to do this all day. But for most of like over half of them I got like a script on what I'm gonna say. So I think after the Saints Panthers I'm just gonna say random things and the rest of the way there. But I have a script for basically most of the games. All right, starting on what I think is gonna happen. All right, starting off, we have the Houston Texans and the Houston Texans and the New York Jets. Excuse me. Okay, currently at the moment, the Texans are banged up at wide receiver and offense. With Stephon Diggs now being out for the season, Tank Dell is currently going to be wide receiver number one at this expected moment. Nico Collins should be back for Sunday Night Football against the Detroit Lions. Joe Mixon has been hot for the Houston Texans. I'm expecting him to get a big workload in this game for the Houston Texans. Meanwhile, the Jets are currently 2-point favorites to win this game. But the Jets, I can't see them winning this game because of their keep the ways of losing. How am I supposed to think the Jets are gonna win when they're 2-point favorites against the Houston Texans? I'm not expecting a high scoring game. I'm thinking it's a low scoring game. I think the Jets offense has been really abysmal and the defense hasn't helped either, but I think it's gonna bounce back. It's gonna be a low scoring, boring one in this one, but I do have the Houston Texans getting it here 19-13 with Joe Mixon and the Houston defense limiting the Jets again. And at this point, the Jets season's over. Move on. Done. Okay, the next game we have is the Dallas Cowboys and the Atlanta Falcons. I think the Atlanta Falcons here are going to get it done with Kirk Cousins. He's with having him a great game. Dallas' defense has just been not good. And it has been a down season for the Dallas Cowboys. The Falcons need to get the job. Falcons will get the job done with a win at home in a back and forth game. Atlanta's defense has been shaky and needs to do its job to make it a deep playoff run. I think if the Falcons are going to want to make a deep playoff run and want to stay in playoff contention and be a deep playoff team this season, what they're going to have to do is step up with their defense. I think the defense needs to do its job to limit any team's help to prevent the Falcons from doing well, to prevent the Falcons from having any mess ups in the playoffs. I mean, they've been doing okay defensively, but in the recent games, it's been kind of shaky. That's the problem, and I'm just not confident right now on the Falcons' defense, and they need to step it up if they're gonna want to go make a deep playoff run. They're currently points against 19th, allowing at least 24 points per game. It's not good at all. But the Falcons need to get things straightened up, and hopefully the Falcons can make a deep playoff run. I have sadly the Falcons winning here, 27-23 against the Dallas Cowboys in a back and forth game. Simple as that. Moving on. Next up, we have the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to dog on the Dolphins in this one. Their defense are going to limit Miami's offense. I think they're going to limit Miami's offense. The Bills have been doing this many times as of recent memory to limit Miami. And I think right now the Bills are in massive, massive control of their division at 6-2 currently right now. The Bills stand at 6-2. Meanwhile, the rest of the AFC East has sucked this season. It doesn't help that Tua got hurt. That affected Miami. If Tua never got hurt, some of these games were extremely winnable. They lost with Tua against Buffalo, but he got knocked out of the game. I think they could have beaten Seattle. They really would have beaten Tennessee if they had Tua, and they would have probably beaten the Colts, honestly. And they should have won against Arizona, but they didn't, and they failed. But it's looking like Miami's season's getting more and more over by the second. But if Miami wants to put on a fight, they're gonna need to do an offense's job. Their team as a whole really sucked for Miami. Their defense hasn't been the greatest. Their offense especially has been terrible without Tua. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, Tua's back. It's gonna spark up the offense. But Mike McDaniel has been a massive problem this season for Miami. He doesn't have any other game plan for a quarterback except for Tua. But then if he goes down at least for 2 games of the season, then what? Then what is Miami going to do here? They don't know, and that's why they're sitting at 2-5 right now, because they had no Tua for like 5 games, and that's why he sucked, or the Miami Dolphins sucked, because they don't have their quarterback. But the Bills are gonna win regardless with Tua or not. I think the Bills smack them here. It's the Bills always dominate Miami, and the Bills are gonna get a big win, 37-10. Next up, we have is the Las Vegas Raiders and the Cincinnati Bengals. Both of these, let's just say it's simple. Both of these teams simply suck. The Bengals have been the bigger disappointment, though. I would say, in my opinion, these two teams are really big disappointments this season. I had decent expectations for the Raiders to maybe be a wild card team or like a mid team, but they've just been flat out terrible this season at 2-6. Like a lot of the AFC, almost half of the AFC's been terrible this season. Like you got currently at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams that have 5 losses or more. 8 teams. 8 teams with 5 or more losses, and that's not good. The Colts are barely squeaking in, and like this season's weird for the AFC. A lot of more losses in the AFC, but the Bengals have been really bad defensively this season, really bad, and Zach Taylor's also been a big problem for the Bengals this season. Meanwhile, Joe Burrow is doing everything that he can for Cincinnati, but it doesn't help that their defense really sucks as a whole. Cincinnati's defense is like one of the worst in the league right now with allowing points. They're 25 or no, they're 23rd in points against, and it's 20. They're at least averaging 20, allowing 25 points per game. I mean, they had the Giants and Browns, which they only limited to a combined total of 21 points, and then they had the Eagles, and they allowed 37, and that's horrible. But the Bengals cannot beat the big teams without their defense selling. But I think the Bengals keep their season alive just for now because the AFC is so terrible this season now all of a sudden. With the wild card race being kind of jacked up right now, I think the Bengals could still fight for it, but I don't know if they're going to be a deep playoff run team now. I think they do get the job done here, 27-17. Zach Taylor should be on the hot seat and probably should get fired. This team was especially supposed to be Super Bowl contenders, but now going into Week 9, absolutely not. They are not a good football team at all. I think the only good players on this team is really their offense with Burrow, Chase, Higgins. Chase Brown's been decent. Like, the defense as a whole, flat out terrible. Absolutely terrible. But Bengals will get the job done here, and hopefully they can keep their season alive. And if they're going to want to make a playoff run, they need to beat the big dogs. But so far they have not. Next one we have is the Chargers and the Browns here. For me, this is a tough one. Regardless of it, this can go either way, in my opinion. Either way, this is like my tricky game of the week. It feels like. Um, for the Chargers and the Browns. If the Chargers, I think, are gonna want to win, they need to rely on Justin Herbert again. I don't think it's gonna be easy to run against the Browns rush D. Meanwhile, for the Chargers, or meanwhile for the Browns, I think they're also gonna have to have a passing game day as well. I think both of these teams aren't gonna run the ball as well. I don't think in this game, so it's gonna have to be probably between a dogfight between Jameis Winston and Justin Herbert. We could really see a passing battle between these two quarterbacks. But in a tough game to predict, either team can win this. I want to be shocked whoever would win this. But I have the Browns winning on the road here. By the final score, or at home, excuse me, and getting the upset. I think they win 24-18. The Chargers have been a question mark. I don't know if they're good. I don't know if they're bad. I don't know. But the Chargers are going to just fall short here. I think the Browns do it again with Jameis Winston, and all of a sudden they can become hot from starting like 1-6, I think, to like being 2-6, and then 3-6, and then all of a sudden they can wake up. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. I don't know. This is like my toughest game to predict this week. Next one we have is the New England Patriots and the Tennessee Titans. You want a tank bowl? Well, here you go, ladies and gentlemen. We have the 2-6 Patriots and the 1-6 Tennessee Titans. Guess who's gonna win here? I don't care. I don't know who is absolutely gonna win. Nah, I'm kidding. I absolutely do know who's gonna win. That's the Patriots here. I think they get their third win of the season. I don't think the Patriots are gonna go deep in the playoffs this season. I don't think the Patriots make the playoffs this season though. But the Tennessee Titans are just flat out terrible, man. They just sucked all season. They've just been horrible ever since. It's just been bad for them this season, I think. But the reason why I'm taking New England here, Detroit, after the game against Detroit, going into the next game, they just lost. Like the Rams, they lost to the Cardinals in week 2 after losing to Detroit. Tampa Bay got smoked by Denver. Arizona got smoked by Washington. Seattle lost to the Giants. The Cowboys lost to the 49ers after their bye. The Vikings lost to the Rams. And now you got the Tennessee Titans going against Detroit. And week 8, they lost. And now I'm expecting New England to beat the Lions. Or no, New England to beat the Titans here. It's going to be an interesting one. But for any of the Patriots fans or Titans fans, that's for sure. But I think this is going to be a tank bowl of the century. Nah, I'm kidding. Just wait and see until the Giants and Panthers play next week in Germany. All right, next, speaking of the Giants now, we got the Washington Commanders and the New York Giants here. This one, I think the Commanders will win on the road here. The O-line for Washington is going to need to hold up here because I think the Giants are going to bring pressure on defense. This could be a low-scoring game. I really don't have much to say on this one. I got no clue who's going to win, but I think Commanders will go to 7-2 here by winning in a low-scoring 23-18. I don't have really much to say about this game. I'm moving on. Next up, Saints-Panthers. Here's another tank bowl for you. Okay, so both of the teams have just sucked this season. We have lost a lot of games. Somebody's going to have to win here. The Saints have lost now 6 games in a row. Meanwhile, for Carolina, we have lost, ever since the Raiders win, we have lost 5 games in a row. So in this one, I think Bryce Young will get his first win of the season, and the Panthers will get the second win overall this season by defeating the New Orleans Saints. I think we know Dennis Allen is absolutely finito after the season. Gone. I gotta stop. I gotta wait and see how the Saints are. Man. This would be happy if we win. 17-13. Uh, Broncos Ravens now. Apparently the Broncos are 5-3. I think they are a fraud. If they can like at least show effort and stay within one score, I think the Broncos can be a playoff team. Yes, you heard me. One of the worst teams, one of the worst expected teams this season could make the playoffs somehow. But I just can't see that happening in this game. I think the Ravens flat out smoke them and proves that Denver's a fraud. Denver's going to have a really tough stretch here for these next 3 games. They got the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Falcons. And if they're going to want to show that they want to prove themselves as contenders this season, they're going to need to win some of those, at least one game, I think, or two of them. And if it's a loss, they need to have like at least a one score loss. I think they can compete, but man, we're gonna find out really if this team's a fraud or not. All right, next up we have the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Philadelphia Eagles. I got not much to say about this. I think the Eagles flat out smoked them, 31-20. The Eagles are a hot team. But if they're not making any mistakes with Nick Sirianni right now, but I've got a feeling he's gonna make a big mistake later in the year. Just keep your eyes on it. I don't know when, but if Nick Sirianni makes that mistake, I'm not gonna be surprised, man. Jalen Hurts has been doing his job. Saquon Barkley's been effective on this team, and I think he might have another field day against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Josh Jacobs just had a big day for the Packers last week, and we could see Saquon now having himself a big game against the Jaguars. And yeah, that's all I have to say about this game. I don't know, man. I think the Jaguars lose this one. We could see a Doug Peterson firing really, really soon. I think their season's over. We already know it. Maybe by week 11, after they get smoked by Detroit, this could be it. They can finally fire him, tank the rest of the season, move on to next year. But we'll wait and see. Or it can be now. I don't know. I just realized as well, this is his revenge game. He's going to be now, he's returning to the Lincoln Financial Field. I bet the Eagles fans are going to be pleased with him. But we'll see. Bears Cardinals. I think this is a really, really close game. I think the Bears Cardinals get it done by 1 point. By 1 point. I think this is going to be a really, really close game between these two teams. I think this might be one of the games of the week, and this could be really, really, really close. Fought back and forth by 1 point. I think somebody's going to win here, and it will be the Arizona Cardinals doing it at home. I would not be shocked if the Bears won. I don't know who's going to win this game. This is going to be a 1 point game. I've got a big feeling of it. And next up, we have Detroit and Green Bay. This is another tough one here. These two teams are really good, and we're expecting a treat out of this one. But the Lions have been one of the hottest teams after the bye. They smoked Dallas ever since week 4. They've been hot, and they were well rested from their bye. And then they smoked Dallas. They won a clawing back and comeback against the Minnesota Vikings, and they dominated Tennessee. And we are expecting a treat in this one. Meanwhile, for Green Bay, they've also been having an elite season. They've been getting it done with Malik Willis as well, which is kind of wild. When Jordan Love was out for some games, he might not. I don't know if he's gonna play Week 9. It's leaning towards he is, but if he can stay healthy, I think the Packers can knock the Lions out. This is going to be another really close game, but the hotter team is gonna win, and currently that's Detroit. I think Detroit gets it done here. 31-24 in a gritty fight game, and the Lions stay hot, stay rolling, and they are going to go to 7-1 to defeat the Green Bay Packers. Next up we have is the Rams and the Seahawks, and this one, I think we know it's one of the frauds of the league right now. It's currently Seattle. Yeah, Seattle's starting 3-0, had now dropped 4 out of 5. That's right, 4 out of 5, and I think they're going to lose again. I think the Rams are going to be one of those teams that are going to try to fight for a wild card spot. They're going to fight like how they did last season. They might make a playoff push with Stafford, and the Rams could be in for a treat this season. Like, we're going to have a crowded NFC finish wild card. They can even win the division. I don't know who. It's anyone's game, really. I don't think Seattle's going to win it. The Niners can still win it. They're getting they're on their bye. They can get healthy at the second half. The Cardinals can steal it. It's kind of wild. I mean, I expected the Cardinals to be good, but or kind of be an underdog, and they have proved it. And the Cardinals can make the playoffs. Who knows? We're gonna have a big finish to the NFC this season, maybe between a lot of these teams, but we'll have to wait and see. But I think the Rams get it done here to go to 4-4 to keep their battling in the wild card race. But it's going to be a interesting finish for sure in the season. But Rams beat the Seahawks easily. Vikings Colts now. This is a big wild card playoff team for both of these teams. I mean, the Colts, I don't know why they benched JR. I feel like Ursay did that, but I know that was on him. He put himself on the bench. Now he's gonna have to learn his lesson if he's gonna want to see the field again. Now if we're going to Minnesota, I think this is gonna be a close game. But I do think the Minnesota Vikings pull it out here to win by the final score of 28-24 in a dogfight game between Flacco and Sammy Darnold here. And I think we get an upset or a good game between these two teams. And yeah, I think this is going to be a fun game to watch as well. And for the final game, Monday Night Football, Buccaneers and Chiefs. Low key, if the Buccaneers were healthy with Mike Evans and Godwin, I think the Bucks could actually upset Kansas City. But with Tampa Bay losing 2 games, really close ones, except for the Baltimore one, I don't know if they're gonna win here or not. They do need to win, or else they're gonna fall to the 11th seed. I think, yeah, they're gonna need a win, and I want to pick the Bucks. I'm gonna go for it. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers upset the Kansas City Chiefs 27-23. I hope the Chiefs lose. I want to see their first loss of the season. I want to see them lose. But I don't know what to see, man. Maybe he'll be the Broncos again. Who am I kidding? But I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like down below and subscribe to my channel for more picks like this. I will see you guys next week. Maybe content real soon. Keep your eyes on it. Bye-bye now.